Yeah.
Hi, Krystal. Thank you so much for joining me this podcast episode. Really appreciate it. How are you today?
Yes, absolutely, Razzle. Thank you. I am doing great. I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. I'm super excited to learning a few things about you, and also like we have like interesting topic we're gonna discuss, which is like being alive. So before that, I'd love to know more about yourself. Like, how do you become a coach and like entrepreneurial journey? How did it all started?
Yes. So I have had my own journey and struggle with health and wellness. Growing up, I was medicating with food. I had sort of an overeating type of thing, just coming from a family of some stress and trauma. That was how I coped. And then about junior high, middle school, I started to discover boys and, realize that I was different than the other kids. So I got really serious about losing weight, and I kind of went to the opposite end of the spectrum. And at that time, I was really getting a lot of affirmation, and I was getting a lot of praise and things from my peers, and even like kids' parents at school and teachers, like, "Wow, you're losing all this weight." And I think that really um, I equated that to like self-worth,
Mm.
what my body looked like and how good I was at losing weight. And so obviously went in that other direction with that part of the eating, disordered eating. And it wasn't until college that I just started to have a healthier relationship with food itself and my body image. And so at that time, a therapist had suggested that I get into like fitness coaching. It was I love to dance, I love to do cardio, obviously all those things. So, her suggestion was, well, why don't you try and help others? And maybe getting out of your own head, your own self, for a while will really help you to find some healing. And so I did. I loved it. I became a personal trainer. At that time though, I was also pursuing a degree in college, and really thought that I was meant to sort of check all these other boxes, that I needed to go to university, I needed to get a
Yeah.
college degree, I needed to get this certain type of job that paid this certain type of money and had these benefits, and all these things that I felt a lot of expectations that were put on me from my family, or just things that I thought people were expecting me to do. And
Mm.
so that was another 10 years of my life really that went by with me kind of getting job after job and not really feeling ever fulfilled, or things like that. And coming home at night and just sort of stopping on the front porch to cry because I didn't want my husband to know how, sort of unfulfilled and unhappy I was with my life. And, it wasn't a reflection of our marriage, but just a lot of the choices that I had been making. And so, found a path to serenity, found a path to really help me kind of get over some of that codependent living that I was doing, living according to other people's expectations in my life. And really thinking that I could make others happy based on the decisions that I was making in my life. So, that was sort of a long road to getting to that point of, I think I need to pursue something for myself.
Right.
And, it just happened to be in the realm of health and wellness because that is, what I've always been passionate about and been always passionate about sharing with others.
Yeah, that's been a great. And how long you been coaching right now?
Well, I mean, I've been in the health and wellness industry for like 17 plus years.
Wow.
But as my own business, I left my full-time job in 2019, uh, got really serious and established my own actual company in 2021. So it's been, sort of a journey from there.
Yeah, yeah. It's great. It's a great journey you had. So is that like how you came up with the topic, like being alive? We're gonna discuss about.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
What I realized is I was kind of just like a zombie. I was
Yeah.
living this life that wasn't mine. It wasn't what I wanted. And yeah, I was not alive.
Yeah. So what's the difference between like what life you used to live compared to right now you're living right now, and what does it actually mean by like being alive? Obviously, you was alive back then as well, but how do you define it? Like right now, being alive, what your definition is? is it like a purpose? Is it like health? Is it like a relationship, or is it like money, success? What does it coordinate with that?
Yeah. Well, it's all those things. And Alive stands for actively living in vitality every day.
Mhm.
So, it's kind of that conscious choice when you get up in the morning to do something for your physical health, do something for your mental health and your spiritual health. And really looking at how you interact with others. What is that relationship that you have, like with your spouse, with your family, with your coworkers? Are these healthy relationships? And so it is really all encompassing. I think what I discovered is that I had spent so much time focused on my physical health
Mm.
that I had completely let go of my mental and
Mhm.
spiritual health.
Yeah.
And eventually, once those had chipped away so far, the physical health started to also chip away as well, even though I was super focused on that. And so, I really realized that this was an all-encompassing thing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's most of the people, like they just doing their daily grind, daily hustle, and they forget about like their mental health. They forget about like their spiritual health, where you need to spend at least 15-20 minutes a day in order to like be in the shape like you want to be. Otherwise you're gonna get burnt out like after 10-15 years of grinding. And I've been through the burnout, and I can totally get that. And right now I spend 2 hours in the morning, my morning routine, 2 hours in the evening for the yoga, the meditation, the reading. Like I believe in Islam, so I read Quran, prayers, and also like exercise both mentally and physically, which is really really needed. And also spirituality, like
Mm.
with our religion we have to pray 5 times a day. So um praying 5 times between half an hour to 20 minutes on average, and 5 times, and then top of that doing meditation and yoga, that's like it changing myself, like how I used to be and compared to right now. So right now it brought me into present moment. So it used to be I was like, what's going to happen in 5 years time, or what's going to happen in 10 years time, I'll be like millionaire, this thing. And I'm constantly living in the future rather than like
Mm.
enjoying the present moment, the relationship I have with my wife, my child, or like the things I have currently, rather than in the future. Future doesn't have the guaranteed. So right now I'm doing things like I don't even think about tomorrow. Obviously I plan it out like how my day is going to be, but don't think about like visualizing like tomorrow is going to be on tomorrow. It's like not guaranteed for me. So just the present
Mm.
moment, the next hour, next 2 hours, what I can do and just be enjoy at it. So when you realize like being alive things, like how did you make the change, the shift? Like did you follow any kind of steps or formula in order to get there?
Yes. For me, it was actually a 12-step recovery program,
Mm.
much like the ones that we're all probably very familiar with. And, what I found was that, it was a spiritual journey, right? It wasn't connected to any particular religion.
Yeah.
And that I could have a conscious ongoing contact with the higher power. And I love that, like you were saying, in your religion, there is that call to prayer many times during the day. And I think for me growing up in the religion that I grew up in, it was sort of, well, you go to this place and worship God here, or you say these set of prayers, and maybe you say
Mm.
them in the morning, at night, but there was really no talking to God throughout the day, or having that sort of in
Yeah.
touch communication. So I think for me, going through that step process really helped, in which I think a lot of religions have some form of that, where you go through like a personal inventory and you say, okay, like what are the things that I'm doing in this situation, and how are ways that maybe I've been hurt, or what are these resentments that I'm holding on to. And it's sort of like that examination of conscience that happens.
Mm.
And then being able to say, like, okay, I have been completely unwilling to, or not maybe unwilling, but incapable, I would say, of, sort of eradicating these things from my life myself. That's why I'm here. Like my thinking has gotten me in this situation. So I need something greater than myself to pull me out. And that's really, I think, what's so beautiful about that process. And, kind of understanding that it's an ongoing process, just like health and wellness, right? It's not like we work out for a week or two and then, oh, we're just fit and that's great. No, we can go back to all these old habits. It's a continuous lifelong journey. So, that was such a blessing for me to, I think, just discover that path to finding that in my life.
Yeah, definitely. It takes time. It's not like you just started today and tomorrow is going to start feeling better and your mindset going to be changed. It's constant improving, and like thing that days like you're not going to feel like doing it, and the days you feel like this thing doesn't really work, and eventually you quit. And I did that in past, and I know like that wasn't the great thing, but right now last 6 months I'm continuously doing it, and now seeing that difference in myself. And first 2 3 months probably not going to see anything at all. Like it doesn't feel like you have to push yourself, even though them days like you said, you had a cold and I had a cold, then feel like you're gonna lay down in bed, but I had to push myself like in order to do that. And when I did it, like after 2 hours of the routine I had, like spiritually, mentally and physically, then whole day goes get better. If I'll stay and lay down in bed like I did it in past, and I know how it's like, the more you stay, the more miserable you get, the more you feel like the whole world is against you, things not going right the way you want to live. So yeah, it's an ongoing process. So how long do you think like it took you in order to being fully being alive right now, you call yourself, like how long the journey was?
Well, I'm still on the journey, definitely. I won't lie. But I mean, that was probably about 5 years ago that I, had really committed to this for
Yeah.
myself and showed up and had the discipline and formed the habits, like you're saying, around that practice in the morning and having all those components together. And, I'd say after after a couple months, I started to notice small changes. Like you said, it wasn't this radical change of, oh, I'm cured overnight, but these little things that would show up during the day that would be like, oh yeah, this is working, and interestingly enough, after I had been really working through that program for about a year, is when I decided to join my very first pageant, like beauty pageant. And, it's something I had never done before. And growing up, I just didn't have a great body image, all those things. And even when I had lost weight and maybe seemed super confident, I still didn't have that confidence, in myself. So I pushed myself, out of my comfort zone. I did something really uncomfortable and put myself in that situation. And that was so life changing. I think just to, get to that point where I was doing something for me and not feeling guilty or ashamed finally. Because even though I had maybe had a practice where I would work out or, eat right or, do these things, a lot of that, there was a lot of guilt surrounding that. Like, oh, am I being selfish? Am I supposed to be answering this phone call or, being with this person or helping over here? But, I
Mm.
really want to sort of protect and have a boundary around, what's right for me. And so doing that pageant is what really allowed me to sort of let go and be like, I need to spend time on myself and this is okay. And it was that journey of like just letting go of the guilt around just doing something kind for myself. And so it was shortly after that that I discovered like, yeah, I do have dreams. I do have things that I wanted to accomplish in my life and I want to get back to those things. And so I need to do that. I need to do that. I need to be alive. I need to feel like I am living again. And so that was really the catalyst for that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and you mentioned like you followed like 12-step formula or steps you had. So if you can share them 12 steps, then obviously you don't have to explain it all. Just what are them steps you took in order to like being alive?
Yes. Well, I think, like we're saying, sort of that first one is admitting that I am powerless over a lot of situations. And that, I think even in like a stoic kind of philosophy is that there are things that are within your control and things that are not. And really kind of figuring out what that is. And I think so many times people want to have all the control over the things they really don't have control over. And the things that they can control, they sort of feel like those aren't their responsibility. So I think getting really clear on that was key for me. And then, of course, just turning it over, daily to a higher power and saying that, there's something greater than me has to pull me out of this.
Yeah.
And then doing that inventory, saying, okay, well, what are the things that have gotten me here today? What are the good things and what are the bad things, and let's focus on the good things and have God help me remove those things that I don't want in my life anymore. And getting out of the blame game, getting out of the victim mentality of, well, I'm this way because my parents did this, or, our kids at school did that, or, really just putting the focus more on myself instead of, well, I can't go back and change the situation, how it was, how other people were. So, sort of that. And then having that connection, that is part of it too, is, finding other people on that journey, not doing it alone. That's, I think, what coaches like us, really are there for, that, to say, like, you need sometimes somebody to hold your hand through this process. And it's scary to go through it alone. And if somebody else has been there and done that, they can help you get through it a lot quicker
Yeah, makes sense.
than you just on your own. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, just making amends to the point where, it's not necessarily going around and telling everybody, oh, I'm sorry, but it's a change in behavior. I think that's what people really get out of it, is that, right, my behaviors changed, my gratitude changed, I started doing that daily, my approach to nutrition and fitness changed, my approach to my relationship with God changed, like all those behaviors had to change. And so, that's what really led to the lasting, success for me to be here 5 years from now and saying, like, I'm still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So, yeah, those who's listening, like we're coming to the end of this podcast, Krystal. Those who's listening, if anyone wants to learn more about like how they can use them kind of steps in order for them to like being alive, or learn more about yourself, where is the best place to find you and find you everything?
Yes. So you can go to aliveit2023.com, and you can sign up there for, I call it a free dream strategy call. And I love to get on the phone with people and just, no strings attached, just hold a container for people to put their dreams inside this bowl and have me hold it and say, what are the things that would make you feel alive? And
Yeah.
what are the things that you really want for yourself? Because sometimes it's difficult to share those things with even people we love, because we're afraid that they're going to reject us or say we're silly or say, oh, there's no way you could ever do that. Right. So sometimes we just need somebody to listen and say that it is possible. And I also have a journal that I launched for this year. It is a guided journal, helps people with some affirmations, tracking these habits during the day, practicing gratitude, celebrating those wins in their life. And so you can find the information for that on that website as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing those. So, yeah, we're coming to the end of this podcast. It's been a great pleasure having you on the show, and I learned a few things from you as well. So, yeah, Krystal, I wish you best of luck with your new year and your business, your personal life. I hope you have a wonderful year, and thanks for coming today.
Yes, thank you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome. So that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode. I hope you got some value from it and enjoyed our conversation. So if you are interested in learning more about Krystal and her work, go visit her website or book some call for her. And until then, I'll talk to you in the next episode. Take care.